Hello, welcome to Dungeon Rolls Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today, for X-Men Month, we're reviewing the origin of Generation X, Tales of the Phalanx Covenant. This Omnibus, which that's what this is, collects X-Men comics from '94 during the Tales of the Phalanx crossover event. Which this Omnibus doesn't just collect X-Men comics dealing with the origin of the Generation X, but it also has to deal with the X-Men's war with this entity called the Phalanx, which is this techno-organic alien virus that came to Earth that attached itself to some of the X-Men members like Warlock and Magus and characters like Douglock, who came back from the dead, right? And anti-mutant forces took the virus, trying to turn it into a weapon to use against mutants, but it ends up going out of control, and even some of those forces team up with the X-Men to take down the Phalanx, because the Phalanx doesn't just want to wipe out all human life on the planet, but also wants to wipe out all non-organic life throughout the universe, right? So this graphic novel goes for $25 US. I paid $27 for it. It collects Uncanny X-Men 316 through 317, X-Men 36 through 37, X Factor 106, X-Force 38, Excalibur 82, Wolverine 85, Cable 16, and Generation X issue 1. Which there's also a Generation X Omnibus as well, right? Which I'm probably going to get that next, if I can. So that's some of the people from Generation X. You have Husk, who is the sister of Cannonball, Sam Guthrie. That's Paige Guthrie. You have Everett Thomas Sink, who is now the new Wolverine in the comics, whose powers are he can copy the powers of mutants nearby him, right? That's Espinoza, which I forget his mutant name. His powers are he can stretch. You have Jubilee there, Monette. Before she joined X Factor, that's Monette, whose powers are she's psychic and she can fly and she's super strong. And you also have Chamber, who was one of the main characters of Uncanny X-Men Poptopia. So check that review. Also, they're being trained by Emma Frost and Banshee, Sean Cassidy. So the Omnibus is in like three different arcs. The first arc has to deal with the members of Generation X, which they call Generation X here. Which most of these comics are written by Steve Lobdell, but some of them are written by Fabian Nicieza, right? And most of the art is by like Andy Kubert, Joe Madureira. You have one issue where Tony Daniel wrote it. Tony Daniel drew it. Todd DeZago, Chris Bachalo, and Steve Skroe, and Larry Hama wrote Cable 16. Larry Hama from G.I. Joe. Yeah, so the first couple issues is basically the techno-organic virus going around trying to capture the mutants and trying to figure out why they can't absorb them, right? While that's going on, Banshee goes back to the X Mansion, discovers Emma Frost, who was villain, is under treatment at the X Mansion by the X-Men. So is Sabretooth. But it turns out the X-Men that are there, like Iceman, Rogue, Archangel, Beast, are actually the Phalanx duplicates who are impersonating the X-Men. The Phalanx have abducted the X-Men, right? That's including Psylocke. Scott Summers and Jean Grey were on honeymoon at the time, right? So yeah, what happens is that Banshee figures is out. Also, there's duplicates of Gambit and Bishop. Yeah, what happens is Banshee figures it out, rescues Sabretooth to help him, right? And they rescue Emma Frost and Jubilee. While that's going on, they're going around trying to find out where the mutants are at, and where the new mutants are at to go and rescue them. That's the first arc of this omnibus, right? Which here you see some of the mutants, right? They also have Blink from Blink before she was in Exiles, right? And there's the Stretch Kid. There's Paige, Husk, whose ability is she can shed her skin, right? There's Monette, who doesn't talk in a French accent. Everybody talks in accents except for her. So the second arc has to deal with Professor Xavier having all the X-Men teams join him on one of Magneto's former hideouts, and this is where you have you see all the different X-Men teams at the time. There's X-Factor. There's X-Factor led by Havoc. There's Reign, who has long hair, even though in the comics they said she can't grow her hair. But here, they have her with long hair, and she looks pretty cute in some comics. There you see Excalibur, right? Members of XForce, like Cannonball, Shatterstar, Boom Boom. But there's some guy named Britannica from X-Force. Nightcrawler's also in X-Force, right? Yeah, here you see the different members of X-Force. There's Professor Xavier. There's Richter. There's Siren, also from New X-Factor is here, right? So a lot of cool characters. There's a funny scene where Shatterstar defends some of my hero clicks in the background fell. Defends Richter, and it's funny because later in the comics they become homosexual couple. So I just thought, that's funny that there's some old comics where you can hint that, oh, here's what's his name showing affection to to Richter, right? Yeah. So yeah, what ends up happening is that there's Reign looking pretty cute there. I'm not into furry stuff, but she looks pretty cute there. Yeah. So what happens is that there's Dougluck, who they're keeping isolated, right? He ends up kidnapping Reign, Cannonball, and Forge to go on a mission to stop the Phalanx from contacting their alien forebears to come to Earth to help them, take over the planet, right? So their main spire is somewhere in Italy, right? So there's Forge, yeah, and the other members of the X-Men go to help, right? So I'm just going to show you some of the art. There's the spire. So this was pretty. This was pretty cool. I think this is Adam Kubert's art. Adam Kubert's pretty good artist. Yeah. So now we go on to the third arc, which is called the Final Sanction. It's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Cable, and Wolverine going on a rescue mission. Well, first they go on a mission to attack a Phalanx base to find out where the X-Men are, and then they go on a rescue mission with to find the X-Men, right? And there's a lot of like weird weird drama going on because obviously Wolverine has a crush on Jean Grey, and it doesn't seem like Wolverine knows. Jean Grey and Scott know that Cable's their son from the future, but it doesn't seem like, Wolverine knows. So he's like, he thinks like Cable's like another rival. This is super weird. Also, Wolverine has his bone claws, right? So here's the art, right? Yeah. So next we go on to the final issue of this omnibus, which is the first issue of Generation X, where they introduced all the different characters. Right, there's Jubilee, there's Monette, there's Sean Cassidy, aka Banshee, who's an underrated X-Men in my opinion. There's Sync. So what's going on? Oh, there's Starsmore, aka Chamber, who's looking very, who looks kind of like Dream from like Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics. And so there's another character in here who also reminds me of a character from Sandman. A lot of Sandman references here. So what ends up happening is you get introduced to the the team members of Generation X. Here's Emma Frost as an instructor, looking like a dominatrix here for some reason. What ends up happening is they go to pick up Starsmore at the airport, because Starsmore, aka Chambers, from the UK, and then there's this guy called M-Fate who's there, who's like who's a mutant, who's like an immortal, who drains the mutant powers of mutants to keep himself alive. He's like a psychic vampire, right? And he's able to make himself invisible until he attacks. So he attacks Chamber and ends up getting attacked by all the Generation X members who are there to pick him up, right? And like he kind of reminds me of Dream, aka Sandman, when he wears that gas mask thing. A lot of weird character designs, but like looks pretty cool. And here you just get the cover gallery, which is pretty good. So what did I think of this omnibus? First off, the art was fantastic by Adam Kubert and like some of the other artists. The story was cool. It's nice to see the X-Men fight something that isn't just rogue mutants or like evil humans who want to wipe out humanity. Mutant kind. So like, yeah, it gives this air of freshness, and it's kind of cool. Like you see like the X-Men at war, and you see the different teams going on different missions. Really cool crossover event here, all right. And it's nice to see some of the lesser known characters as well kicking ass, like Banshee. If you're a Banshee fan, you're gonna love this omnibus, right? And also, yeah, you get to see the other characters as well. I did notice there were some continuity errors. They show a flashback of Rain on her mission with Douglock, and she has short hair for some reason, even though we saw she had long hair, right? There was spelling errors because I guess in the 90s the editors did not do a good job of spell check, and like some of the Yeah, and you know, some of the art wasn't as good as like Adam Kubert's, right? But overall, I did enjoy this omnibus. And if you're looking for like X-Men book that's apolitical, this is the book to get. I'm giving it 7 out of 10, right? And it's well worth the price. It's pretty cheap for an omnibus because omnibuses nowadays tend to be like in the 50 or 60 bucks, and this was like around the 30 buck mark. So if you can get this omnibus, highly recommend it. So our next X-Men month review is going to be on Tuesday because we're uploading our HeroClix demo games on Monday night. So our next X-Men month review is going to be on Tuesday, and it's going to be Volume 2 of X Factor, Life and Death Matters, which I'm thinking of picking up Volume 3. Let me know if you guys want me to pick up Volume 3, because they have multiple copies at this one store. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's it for this review, guys.